We're here with head coach Dan Puckhaber with week number 3 of our video series. Coach, another week, another win. Talk to us about how the defense stepped up against a very challenging Springfield team.
Yeah, anybody that knows small college football, especially in the Northeast, knows the system that Springfield runs has been one of the best triple option games, I think, since the mid-'80s when they installed it. They do things that not a lot of other teams do, and then when you're a defense and you got to scheme that up, because it's completely different than a lot of other things that you're getting ready for against other offenses. So there's a huge challenge there, and then they run it so well. And then for our defense to come out and hold them to 107 yards rushing, force the turnovers the way they did, really just demoralize a football team just by how they dominated them. And it really kind of showed there at the end of the game when, you know, it was still a tight game at 21-14 in the fourth quarter, that they were able to force that late turnover, get that extra touchdown in. There was never really any doubt in my mind that they were going to be able to really move the ball past our 50-yard line.
Obviously, one of the big reasons for his success last week is the big guy in the middle, Kyron Brown-Wallace. He was a defensive player of the week for the Liberty League, D3Football.com Team of the Week. Tell us a little bit about how much he means to this defense and this team.
Kyron Brown-Wallace is the cornerstone of the 2016 Saints football team. He is the thing that makes everything possible. He is so good as a football player. He's so good as a captain. Yet the best thing that he does is him as a person. Things are a lot easier as a head coach when your best player is also the best person you have on your team, and he's doing all the right things. He's been here for 4 years. He's been dominating since he got here. We knew when we recruited him that he was going to be really, really good. I don't think we realized just how hard of a worker he was when we recruited him, though. He's transformed his body. He now doesn't look like a pudgy little kid like he did when he first got here. Now you look at him and you're like, that's a grown man. He's lifted over 1,400 pounds in 3 lifts as a college senior going into his senior year, which it's a number that's you just look at it and you're like, that can't be real. And that he's still able to move and bend and do the things that he can. Just shows just how special he is. And what we're doing on defense is because we have him in the middle. Everything starts up front. You win and lose football games because of your line, and we have the best defensive lineman, I think, in the country.
You and I have talked off camera a little bit earlier in the year about how it's a good thing that freshmen are in the starting
we don't want them around all the time.
But tell us about 1 or 2 of the first-year players that might be making a move up that depth chart.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get to the point now where we're into week 6. They've been here practicing with us for about 10 weeks, so you know they're not 18-year-old freshmen anymore. They're starting to get a little bit legs underneath them, realize what we're doing. I think offensively, P.J. Brennan, who got in last game, had a couple catches, really starting to show some things athletically. He's a pretty good kid. Big, long, fast, catches the ball well. He's not afraid to go up and get it, which is you always want in a receiver. And then defensively, we have I think Riley Cott, who's been always in the mix for us for much of the year. More of a package guy, rusher. But he's a long athlete, came from Rochester. He's a guy that we really wanted in recruiting, just knew he was going to be a good football player. Not sure where we were going to put him, and then we kind of found a home for him at that defensive end spot, matching up what we like to do defensively. But I'd say out of those 2 guys, those are the ones that will probably be most likely to be heard from by the end of the year, as long as we stay away from some injuries. But as a whole, the freshman class is really strong. And it's even better is the fact that they get to learn how to be a college football player without having to be shoved into the spotlight.
We're about halfway through the regular season, a couple of games into the Liberty League season. Are you surprised by any results so far, and how do you see things shaking out down the stretch?
You try not to look around because we only get a couple games a week to take a look at. You look at scores, but scores can lie. I mean, if you look at our score last weekend, 42-14, it looks like that was a blowout, but it really wasn't. So it was a 21-14 game in the fourth quarter. Then if you look at the RRPI game, it was 20-14. Yet I think we dominated that game more than we did last week. I think Hobart's really good. Everybody knew that coming into the year. That's why they got voted first, and they still are. They're still the team to beat in our league. They're doing some really good things down there. Even if they're in tight games, it doesn't really mean much to me. Right now we're in the point of the year where you're just trying to win each game by at least 1 point. Kings Point, we found out last year at the end of the year, was a really tough, good physical football team, and they're showing it right now. But other than that, I don't think there's really any surprises, because that's what makes our league special, is the fact that there are no surprises. Anybody can really beat anybody any given week.
The Saints moved up a couple of spots in the national poll, up to 21 in the D3Football.com poll. How does the rest of the East region look to you?
I think I don't really get to see much of it. I know that the Empire 8's going to kick out a team or two that's going to be really good. They're a football conference that has, I think, with Elford and Fisher right now playing really well, but Utica there is playing pretty good for a while. And then you're going to get a couple of those leagues in the New England areas that, I just think that we'd match up well with anybody out there. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to look at week to week who's going to be sitting with the unblemished record at the end of the 10 weeks, 11-week season, and that's going to be the team that's going to be the team to beat in the East.
Coach, thanks very much. We'll see you right back here next week.
Thanks, Kelly.